I'm Michael Connor, and is it time to get back on the hype train? Super Bowl for the Houston.
Choo, choo, choo! I'm John Hickman, and yes, it's time to get back on that hype train.
Staying Norfleet here. Not much to complain about with this shellacking. Momentum, you say, in H-Town. Bye week, nothing better.
Yeehaw! It's time for the Texans Squad. Everything Houston Texans, every week. Bringing you the big hits, game-changing plays, and all the action straight from the Lone Star State. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Saddle up and squad up. It's the Texans Squad Show, starting now.
And for the second consecutive week on a Sunday, we have a positive outlook on the Houston Texans because they go out there and smack some people around. Welcome to the Squad Show. I'm Michael Connor, Stan Norfleet and John Hickman, who, of course, hosts the daily Locked On Texans podcast. Fellas, we're just going to dive right into it because things are good for the Houston Texans right now. They're back to 2-3 with an easy 44-10 victory over the Baltimore Orioles. I don't know why I got the Orioles in my brain. They played like the Orioles today. The Ravens, I should say. The Ravens go out there, can't get anything going passing-wise, can't get anything going running-wise, but I think the biggest thing that everybody in the fan base in Houston is going to be obviously talking about is that is the second consecutive week. Now, a lot of it was in the second half last week, but the offense today from the jump looked like an offensive unit you want to see. Yes, they're playing a beat-up Baltimore, but you cannot ask for anything outside of what they gave today. Am I wrong, Stan?
No, it was a fantastic effort. You saw what I believe was a concentrated effort. I know John is going to talk about the ground game, but I'm going to say collectively to get all of the young guys involved. You saw it was an opportunity,
Yes.
and we wanted to know. And that was really my number one question. I wanted to know, was the fourth quarter where they scored those 3 consecutive touchdowns in that fourth quarter in the Tennessee game last week. I wanted to know, was that an anomaly? Or were they going to be able to use that as a springboard into a competitive contest today in a tough environment versus a team and a franchise that has had a lot of success? Now, it must be stated, several key contributors were out for the Ravens, but nonetheless, this is still the National Football League. I would say, gentlemen, they found the spark that they were looking for offensively. Defense continued to do the things that they do, ton of takeaways today, but I think they have some momentum. And I want to add one other thing after you go, John.
For me, I look at the Houston Texans, like you said, effort to running the ball. The Baltimore Ravens defense, piss poor even when those guys are on the field and healthy.
Fair point.
And this was a point that I made throughout the week. Like, this is already a great value version of the Baltimore Ravens that we are accustomed to knowing, even with the players on the field. So I look at Woody Marks had an amazing week last week, right? Nick Chubb said, hold on, not so fast, right? He goes out there, 11 carries, 61 yards, 5.5 yards average, 1 TD. And for the day, Houston, 33 attempts, 167, 5.1 and a TD, 27, 30, and 11 and 10. Those were some of the long runs on the day. I thought that the Houston Texans did a very good job of controlling the clock, right? They won that time of possession, running the ball, and just keeping their foot on the Baltimore Ravens. Houston has been a team that will let their foot off. And I thought that they continue, especially coming out of halftime, they continue to put up points and stay aggressive. And for a team that started off 0-3, they needed that. The last 2 weeks, 35 points per game, 70 points total between what they did against Tennessee and Baltimore Ravens going into their bye week. Perfect way to go into the bye week for Houston. Perfect.
Couldn't ask for anything better to go into the bye week with the momentum. And I'm going to come back to the bye week piece before I come to you, MC. I tweeted this at Stan Sportsman somewhere early in the fourth quarter, and it was in response to somebody that was hitting me up. It's not just the fact that they won. It's how they won, and it's coming off of last week.
Yeah.
Like, there's something in sports about getting over the hurdle and like, okay, it can be done. They now know. Now, they know Roquan didn't play and Ronnie Stanley didn't play and obviously Lamar. Okay, so you take that. But there's something to getting the first franchise win at
In
Baltimore
Baltimore. Yes.
at the history of this franchise. So it's like, all right, emotionally, that can catapult you into the next level of your play. And now that we're just over or right around a quarter of the way through the 25 season. So I thought the emotional was as important as the physical.
Can I make a statement really quick?
Yeah.
Last week, post-game press conference, I asked D'Amico Ryans about the win being essentially a sense of relief for their team. He said, "No, when we execute, we are expecting to look like this when we execute." And so you talk about following up. The Houston Texans executed so well. You want to know what was a low number for them throughout this entire season? 4. Y'all want to know what that 4 is? 4 penalties on the day for the Houston Texans.
Can I tell you
that's
what?
major. 4 in the red zone. That's major.
Oh yeah, for sure. The red zone, 4 for 5 in the red zone, huge. Let me add in there 1 punt. We saw Tommy Townsend one time all day.
Houston Texans, 3rd down conversion rate, 7 to 12. When we look at 3rd and 4th down, 8 of 13. This is the expectation for, at least from the head coach. When we execute and when we do things right and when we don't shoot ourselves in the foot and when we look at 3rd and 3 and 3rd and 1 and not 3rd and long, this is the type of offense we should expect to see moving along. Granted, like you mentioned, a lot of those guys for the Baltimore Ravens were not out there, but still, we know that Houston can get it done. And CJ Stroud, chef's kiss.
You guys did
best. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, MC.
I was going to say, I think we'll get deeper into CJ in a minute in the next segment, but you guys didn't even mention the best part of it. Something we've talked about a lot this season. It was the trend in the first couple of games there. Time of possession today again. 2 straight games.
John brought it up.
Yeah. Okay, so I missed the start, John. But time of possession is, I mean, this is, we talked about it forever with the Nick Caley system, the Patriots way, and whatever. They just want to control the game, right? Like more than any other team. And that's what they've done in the last 2 weeks.
And let me also add one other component, John. I love where you went with the penalties. MC, I appreciate you doubling down on the time of possession. I was gonna say, how about this? No turnovers. The Houston Texans were +3 in the turnover margin today. CJ didn't throw a pick. I think he had a career best. What was his completion percentage for the day? 85% or something like that. So
23 of 27, 244, 4 TDs, a pass rating of 143 on the day.
So I think, and I'm trying to pull it up now, I want to say that is a career best completion percentage for him. If that was the case, my point is CJ didn't turn the ball over. Now we still got to do something with making what is a bad play worse. Like CJ continuing to get sacked and like the yardage, that's an issue. But on a day like today, I'm not going to nitpick. The Houston Texans beat the BGs out of a Baltimore team. I'll get more into what Baltimore schematically, some flaws, but again, just doubling down on congratulations to Jalen Noel getting his first NFL touchdown.
Who?
That's your boy Noel.
Oh.
Yeah.
Back-to-back weeks. Hey, MC, back-to-back weeks for our young guys. But I know where you're going next. Because shout out to who?
That
who
boy
else?
Hutch.
Shout out to Hutch.
I see you with 2 tutties.
Shout out to Hutch for 6 yards per reception.
Hutch getting his first career touchdown as well. We saw Higgins. We saw Higgins get his touchdown last week. So that's what I'm saying. The Woody Marks game last week. Ursery. Did you see them sneak in Blake Fisher when they went out there with that 6-man trying to run the ball, have him as a pseudo tight end? So this was an opportunity, and I think it was a concentrated effort by Nick Caley and that offense to get these young guys involved. Absolutely. Christian Kirk, excellent route by him. Later would draw a face mask by the young defender. I think that was Wiggins that got the face mask. I'm not sure if it was the other young player, but nonetheless, Dalton Schultz. Like quietly,
Schultz was amazing for Houston.
Schultz is having a fantastic season on the low.
I think the nicest thing is like you could look at, last year we watched this team go out and first down all the time and run it right into the line, get a yard or 2, maybe 3. You know what they did a lot today, I felt like? They'd get those little safety net throws to Dalton Schultz on first down, pick up 7.
He was
picking up 3.
He was extremely reliable for Houston. And I also thought, for a guy that many Texan fans wanted fired, right? And I came on my show and I said the Houston Texans would be fools if they fired Nick Caley 3 games into this season. They would look like more idiots than when they hired him. You talk about a concentrated effort. getting everybody involved. Kirk, 4 catches. Schultz, 5 catches. Nico, 4 catches. Higgins, he goes 4 for 4. Brendan Bates, the tight end, who I didn't even know was on his roster, so forgive me for my ignorance, 2 catches. He goes for 2 for 2. That's when Davis Mills gets in. Xavier Hutchinson, not a lot of yards, but the impact in the red zone. You see how the Houston Texans offense in the red zone, 4 or 5, that's the best we've seen this team operate in the red zone in ever, maybe under D'Amico Ryans. And so how they went about getting the win, I thought that it was a great variety of play calling, and I thought that they attacked the weaknesses of a Baltimore defense, and they did it consistently without going away from it. And that allowed this offense to flow, stay in front of the sticks. I can't count too many times we saw 1st and 15 or 2nd and long, right? And that allowed for him to go out there and drop 44 on the great value version of the Baltimore Ravens head.
And look, Baltimore team's in trouble too, by the way.
They quit on their coach.
It's not going to be a good year. I'm not there, John. I know why you're saying that, but from here, I don't know that they quit on him. And then they gave the record. I think the Ravens are something like 4-15 or something like that when Lamar Jackson isn't in the lineup. I can't believe that Baltimore allowed Cooper Rush to be Lamar's backup. They do have Ty Huntley on the roster. I thought at some point they might switch the quarterback and go with Ty Huntley just to see if they could get a spark. But there's still players out there in Baltimore. They do have a lot of young guys, but it looked like today they were just like, you know what? It ain't our day. Lamar's not out here, to hell with it. How about the defense? And I do want to swing the conversation there. I know we got some CJ talk coming up in just a second. This defense is the best defense in the league right now, period. They came in leading in points per game allowed. Those numbers will get better having played another game and just surrendering 10 points. Jalen Petrie, how about 2 interceptions today? 3 over the last 3 games for Jalen Petrie. Good to see Kamari Lassiter. Welcome to the party, 2025 Kamari. He gets his first interception of 2025. So things, Mario Edwards Jr., he's in there mixing it up, getting a sack.
That's not what you need to be pointing out, Stan.
I'm getting, where you at? What you got?
You know where I'm going.
Them linebackers?
33 yards.
Oh, on hearing, yeah.
33 yards.
Hell,
33 yards. We talk about pride that a team need that. In 15 games, Derrick Henry, and of course this goes back to his time in Tennessee, but he has traditionally ran all over the Houston Texans, left and right. I think he has 4 at one point, 4 consecutive games of 200.
Yeah.
33 yards, 2.2 yards per carry. No explosive runs for the Baltimore Ravens. That is the story of the game for the Houston Texans defense, because we know with no Lamar Jackson, they needed to lean on Derrick Henry, who may be a shell of himself, right? At least the first half of the season. And for Houston to take that call and say, we're going to make sure he don't impact the game at all. He had a touchdown, I understand that, but 15 carries, 33 yards on the day. The Baltimore Ravens, 2.3 yards per carry on the day with 44 yards. The Texans completely eliminated any type of influence the running game could have on this game. Shout out to Matt Burke and D'Amico.
So you look at the last 2 games for Matt Burke with him calling the plays. And again, D'Amico's a part of putting the game plan together. But at the end of the day, statistically, like the numbers are going to be one thing, and the numbers do look good. And I'm saying even the effort, the defense gave the offense a chance versus the Rams. The defense gave them a chance versus the Bucs. The defense gave them a chance versus Jacksonville. So, like, we can't just say they beat up on a team in the Baltimore Ravens just because they didn't have Lamar. You saw Newt Hopkins had some energy going early. You saw Zay Flowers did some good things early. You saw Mark Andrews do some things early. But they put the clamps down. And the term that I want to add, bringing it to you, Michael, they made the Baltimore Ravens one-dimensional. When they took away Derrick Henry, because Cooper Rush is limited in a skill set at the quarterback position and does have a winning record as a backup quarterback, as a starter. I think he came into the day 9-5 as a starter or something along those lines. Once you make any team one-dimensional and you got dogs on defense, everybody was healthy. We did have a bit of a scare there with Azeez, and that knee hyperextension in the first half made me a bit nervous. But especially with a healthy scratch, Christian Harris, EJ Speed, has earned him some more reps. And I think we've seen, as I predicted would be the case, EJ Speed was going to take precious minutes and probably a spot from Christian Harris. And we'll see what D'Amico wants to do with those linebackers moving forward. But I concur with everything that you just said, John, in that this defense was excellent today, taking away the football, 3 takeaways. You kept Baltimore under 50 yards, not 100 yards rushing. You kept them under 50 yards rushing. I don't have the sack numbers in front of me right now, but we know Will Anderson and Daniil and those boys were doing what they do on the edges. All around, fantastic effort.
Third straight game, the Texans defense has held the opponent to 10 or less in this season. Of course, the most that they've allowed in the game was the 20 in the 20-19 loss against Tampa Bay. All right, the quarterback, the guy that everybody wants to talk about all the time, CJ Stroud. Let's talk a little bit deeper into his day when we return here on the Locked on Texans Squad show. Before we talk CJ, though, this episode's brought to you by Square, your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that make the neighborhood, well, the neighborhood. These are the places that become extensions of home, whether it's the sports bar dedicated to your team's fan base, the spot with the best wings in town for the game day, or that beloved local chain that's been rooted in your community for years. These businesses are what bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. That's why you have Spot. It's absolutely fantastic. It allows these places to work together. Square is a proud sponsor, a partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com /go/locked on to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. Texans roll over the Baltimore Ravens today, and we're breaking it down here in the Locked on Texans Squad show. Michael Connor, Stan Norfleet, and John Hickman, 44-10, the first victory in Texans history at Baltimore.
They did it for Akers Holmes.
I mean, they've been around since 2002. They're just now getting their first win there. It's wild. And it took some circumstances. It's a shout out to Baltimore for being so consistently good, too. I mean,
no question. That's one of the best franchises in the league, period.
Yes.
I put them up there with San Fran and Philly and Kansas City. Baltimore's in that class as an overall organization, no question.
Yeah, the way that they're run for sure. The way the Texans were run today was great. CJ Stroud, mentioned him a little bit. We talked about it a little bit, but career high, Stan, like you mentioned earlier, in terms of completion percentage. This is after he set it the week before. The week before, he had a completion percentage of 78.6. This week goes 85.2. 23 of 27, 244, 4 touchdowns, no picks, had the long of 47, 143.9 on the rating, and used his legs for a very long 30-yard run, a career-high run for him, almost a touchdown as well. But, guys, 2 consecutive weeks that looks comfortable back there.
Yeah, that's the
looks
best
at
word.
ease. Looks like he's making throws that he made as a rookie in the NFL. Where are you guys on your vibe check with CJ Stroud now after 2 consecutive really strong weeks, John?
Vibes don't lie like the stats do. We're watching the same game, and it seems like Kaling and Stroud are on the same page with each other. And I think that's the most important thing to point out, that the first 3 weeks, the offense looked rough and he looked uncomfortable, and everything will look discombobulated because where they were in their relationship and performance-wise. Now I look at these two, and albeit they played a beat-up Titans team that's already bad, they played a beat-up Baltimore team, but the flow of the game looks better for Houston because, they're not shooting themselves in the foot. The numbers on the amount of first and longs, and those first and longs come by penalties. Against the Rams, 5 times we saw first and long. Last week, that number decreased. Today, I don't think we saw a first and long by any penalty, right? The second and longs, those numbers are starting to decrease as well. So that's allowing for Nick Caley to have an open playbook and not have to have his quarterback in so many pressure-filled situations. But for C.J. Stroud, specifically what I saw today, and we pointed it out a little bit in that first segment, he got everybody involved by being an amazing point guard at quarterback. We cannot downplay the role that Dalton Schultz has in this, being underneath. And I think that's why we're going to see Houston moving forward, 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4. those explosive plays from Dalton Schultz, that ain't going to happen. But he's making the offense move, and CJ is taking what the defense is giving him, whether it's through the air, what was more impressive, on the ground. We look at the Houston Texans team the last couple of weeks that's ran the ball well. CJ Stroud has been a part of that. He's been a part of that the entire year. And then you look at the 30-yarder that was almost a touchdown. Things are changing for CJ because I feel like at this point he has a more grip and understanding of the offense and what's asking of him. Sorry for being long-winded.
Oh, you're all right. I do it all the time.
But he looks like a more comfortable quarterback that's in control.
I want to add the 30-yard run that was almost a touchdown, just stepping out of bounds there, was a career-long run for CJ. Immediately, many of us think about him scrambling versus the University of Georgia, his last year at Ohio State in the college football playoff. And it's so timely because this week, CJ talked about in the media that when he watches the tape, he doesn't see himself as athletic as he once was going all the way back to high school. I'm like, yeah, bro, you're going to age out of some of that stuff. You're going to have to do most of your damage from the pocket. That's what has been rewarded in this league in terms of getting to the pinnacle of the profession. But it was good to see him, and he's done it now the last couple games when it's there, being able to take advantage of that. I thought CJ, to everything that you said, John, looked extremely poised. He looked comfortable. Now, the Ravens are not a team similar to Tennessee. When you go look at their pressure numbers in terms of getting after the passer and their sack numbers, both of those teams the last 2 weeks are towards the bottom of the NFL. Again, and I got this from Colin Cowherd, who I revere in this business. I don't know him, but I like this thought, and I'm going to make it make sense here in just a second as it relates to this game. In life, you're very rarely as good as your high or as low as your low. So for today, we do celebrate that the offense was in rhythm and it was looking good, and CJ had time. He was sacked twice. One was bad. The Kyle Van Noy one, it looked like the whole offensive line got destroyed, and Kyle Van Noy dumps him on the head. I believe that was in the second quarter. But I also remember that Rams game. So when you start looking at this Texans schedule coming down the pike, and you start looking at some of the better defenses in the league, Seattle, San Fran, Denver, and we'll see Jacksonville again, it's like, I'm not ready to say that the offense is fixed. I will say the last 5 quarters has been outstanding. They clearly have found something again in these young guys. Woody Marks last week, Noel this week, Higgins last week, Hutch being a part of the plan. Today, 2 touchdowns for him. So for CJ, it's just momentum. Just build on this, and you survive 1-0 another week. And so, again, we'll see what happens after the bye when they go up to Seattle on Monday Night Football.
I mean, is this the best football we've seen, though, overall since his rookie year? Is it even close?
Since the rookie year?
I thought the New England game last year was really good for him.
That first half of last year was good. The playoff game.
I thought the Chargers playoff game I thought he was good against the Chiefs. They just he wasn't able to punch it in, but I thought that in terms of what you asking for from a quarterback that didn't have a lot of weapons, I thought that he played well. I do want to point this out. Number one, the Houston Texans made a critical decision to say, you know what, let's trust the second round pick that we picked up a couple of years ago, drafted a couple of years ago. Let's trust Juice Scruggs over Lincoln Thomas.
I don't like it. I still don't like it.
You may not like it, but here's the numbers. Y'all don't know what the number 6 stands for? Pressures. 6 pressures allowed by the Houston Texans today against the Baltimore Ravens. The lowest of the year. 4 hurries, the lowest of the year. 2 hits, the lowest of the year for the Houston Texans. So we talk about CJ Stroud looking like CJ Stroud and being more comfortable. The last 2 weeks, what's been the theme there? Well, better offensive line play. And the offensive line play has gotten better. Not huge jumps. This may be the biggest, but they've gotten better from week 1 to week 5 going into their bye week. And I want to shout out the right side and the job that Titus Howard has been doing of their rushes on the day, excluding the quarterback scramble. 81 rushing yards came on that right side with a very high yards per carry. So shout out to the job that Ed Ingram and Titus Howard is doing on that side.
The vibe is like CJ and everything. I mean, the vibe, even if it's like, look, here's where I keep going back to it. Did they play a beat-up team today? Absolutely. But you know what you have to do is you have to go out and do what they did today. You still have to go out and execute. You still have to do it.
Mm.
And the offensive line like CJ, the vibe feels different. Like
Yeah.
it feels like, of course, you're always going to end up giving up some hits occasionally. You're always going to give up a sack occasionally. You're not going to be perfect the entire game. But like, I don't know. Maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid again, like really hard. You know, John talked about that day, like drinking that really red Kool-Aid, that battle red Kool-Aid. But man, like I don't have a huge concern for the offensive line anymore. Am I wrong?
Well, I don't know that you're wrong. I just don't share your sentiment. And I've already kind of hinted at it. Some folks may be joining the show that didn't hear me a few moments ago. I'm not trying to rain on the parade, but y'all know that I'm going to be on brand and just being objective in my analysis. We'll find out. Over the next month, they're going to play, the Denver Broncos with Nick Bonito, an all-pro, what he's going to do off the edge. You're going to see other defenses that
Denver beat Philly today, by the way.
Say that again.
The Denver beat Philly today, by the way, on the road.
Good football team in Denver. They're trying to figure it out. They're not having the success that they had necessarily last year. It doesn't look the same second year of Bo Nix. But my point is, offensively with this line, I'm not a Juice Scruggs fan at guard, but I also don't coach over there. I have to evaluate what they put out there on the field. Juice had a holding penalty, which was at a critical point in the ball game in the second quarter, but they were able to bounce back from it. It wasn't a deal today. So let's hold we believe in the offensive line until we see them go up against better competition. I repeat, the last 2 weeks, those teams, and you saw what Jeffrey Simmons did last week, but on the edge, from an edge standpoint, I'm not ready to say that or I should say from an entire line standpoint, I'm not ready to say they're back. It does look better. They're going in the right direction. Bye week, let's get some guys healthy. Maybe you can get Blake Fisher some more reps, get him up to speed, because you're going to need everybody up front for this 17-game stretch.
John, you're back with me though, right?
On the hype train. On the Kool-Aid, I'm happy
for the offensive line.
So I poured a quarter cup of the red Kool-Aid, man. I spiked it a little bit, so that may be why I'm buying in a little bit more. But hey, coaching matters, and I do want to say this, man. This is not a I told you so moment, but I think again, Andrews in the middle of that offensive line has helped the rest of that offensive line out tremendously. But if we're looking at the improved job, because they have improved, especially from 2024, I think so. And I think that what we're seeing from Ed Ingram is this year's version of the 2023 Shaq Mason. What we're seeing from the offensive line improvement, going back for the last 5 quarters, is it's allowing CJ to have that rhythm in the pocket. And because of that, I think he's processing the defense a little bit quicker. And he's understanding that I don't have time to get the ball out. So I got a guy underneath, and I know where that person is. And so I think that their role in this improved 5 quarters of the Houston Texans has allowed for CJ to, again, be the ultimate point guard at quarterback and know when to take his shots. And I think that they gave him enough time to do that.
I'm just reading a comment from Sally C. She says, and I presume it's a she, forgive me. Stan, be positive for once. Don't be a killjoy. I'm going to give them their flowers. They played good ball today, same as I did last week. You play good ball. You emerge victorious, convincing wins the last 2 weeks, a division foe, and you get one of your nemesis, off your shoulders, and you can go into Baltimore and win. Now, we would be silly and naive to think that game looks like that if the guy wearing number 8 is under center for Baltimore. We all know it looks different.
I still think
and read the comment on the screen right now. Stop being a killjoy.
I still think Houston would have won that game.
Hell no.
I still think they would have won that game.
Hell no.
Yes, I do.
I think I'm going towards John's area. I think
but we've talked about this. I look at this
team.
version of the Baltimore Ravens, and I say to myself, year in and year out, you typically, at least growing up, you fear the Baltimore Ravens defense. Now, this isn't a shot at guys who like to do podcasts and TikToks in the locker room, but this defense doesn't feel the same. Roquan is not the same. Marlon Humphrey he's on a decline.
He was all-pro last year.
Who's that?
Humphrey.
Yeah, but I'm coming into this year.
Kyle Hamilton is all-pro.
Coming into this year. Marlon Humphrey he's been getting cooked.
No, the defense overall is down, no doubt about it. But I also juxtapose that. Go look. The Baltimore Ravens had the second most difficult schedule in the NFL coming into this season.
They did.
So go look at who they played, and I think it will make some more sense. Now, you still got to go win the games, and I get it. And we don't necessarily, I don't feel the need to do a deep dive on woulda, coulda, shoulda. Even without Lamar, I'm gonna tell you straight up. I did get a chance to post it past the Remus over there at Fountain of Praise. We ran a little long today, so I didn't get a chance to get my predictions and my score predictions out as early as I'd like to. At the end of the day, when the ball was kicked and I was listening from my vehicle on the flagship, I picked the Texans to lose today. I thought a desperate Ravens team. I thought the experience, a championship experience of John Harbaugh, what we've seen in a backup capacity from Cooper Rush. I thought, obviously Derrick Henry and what he has done to the Texans. I thought that I would see more fight out of Baltimore.
They
first time
I
saw them quit today. Today is the first game that I was like, oh yeah, they waved the white flag early. That at no point when we got to about two touchdowns, maybe what was it? It was 20. Was it 21-0 or was it 21-3? It was 24-3.
24-3, yeah.
Right around there. Oh yeah, the Ravens knew with Cooper Rush they weren't going to get back in there down 3 touchdowns, so they waved the white flag. But I thought that the Texans, because basically, if you thought the Texans was going to win today, you thought they were going to win because of 2 things. Really, number one, the amount of Baltimore injuries.
Yeah.
And number 2, did they have something in the fourth quarter at home versus Tennessee last week? Could that be a thing? And we found out 2 things can be true. Both of those things led to a beatdown today.
Led to a beatdown. And it has people wondering, can this team get back to being in the mix in the AFC South? Let's talk a little bit about that and some other aspects of this game today next here on the Locked On Texans Squad Show. Before we get there, though, let's talk about what you're driving. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more, put points on the board, they move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward, well, for me, man, you got so many of them to pick from for the Texans. But Nico Collins' touchdown today. I mean, just, anytime you get the best of the best in the mix, we're going with Nico today as your moment that moved the game forward. When you follow what moves, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like that, there's more to every highlight. There's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. It's always nice when you get an easy win. That's exactly what the Texans did today over the Ravens, 44-10. We're here with you for another 30 minutes. Michael Connor, John Hickman, and Stan Norfleet. Of course, make sure you're listening to John during the week because, well, he's got the daily podcast. We will be back again Tuesday night. And for those of you wondering for our week ahead in terms of scheduling of this show, now during the season, it is a Tuesday post-game show. But this week, the Texans will be on a bye. So we will be Tuesday, Friday, back to our old schedule here this week. And then the following week, of course, we will be Tuesday, Monday, because they will play a Monday night football game. And then we'll do it again either Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever our hearts delight, because we might be exhausted from being up at midnight the night before or 1 o'clock in the morning the night before when they finally return to action against Seattle. But when they do return to action against Seattle, guys, there's going to be a lot of talk. I don't know. Maybe you guys probably pay a little bit more attention to it than I do at this point in my life. I'm not a big I never have been a big surveyor of the national opinion because there's just so much going on that I know that they're not like really entrenched, locking in on everything. But I think there's going to be conversation now that are the Texans back in the mix. The bad news today, the Texans and the Texans fans, the Colts went out there and smacked the Raiders around, which I guess you probably could have predicted. They actually look legit. And then the Jaguars
Daniel Jones for MVP.
The Jaguars are also 3-1. Now they got a Monday night matchup against Kansas City, but if they were to pull off an upset tomorrow night, I mean, my goodness, the AFC South suddenly we talked about it being the worst division in football, and it would maybe be the best division in football.
Storyline. It's very interesting for all 3 teams.
2-3 now for the Texans. But can they still win the AFC South? Stan?
yes, they can. They're going to need some good fortune down the stretch.
Yeah.
I
Like what
think
they
the
got today.
Colts, the Colts are just off to such a hot start, and I don't know that they're going to be able to sustain it. I sincerely hope not. But Houston is in a position where they cannot afford to lose another division game. And that can be a lot of pressure. The last 2 years, Houston has been in the catbird seat. They've been playing that division game from ahead. We know that what it was 2023. Was that 2023 that they needed to go into Indy
That's
last game of the
2023, the
year?
last game of
That
the year.
2023. So
Busted it
it
open with
was
that huge Nico play to start the game.
right. So the Texans got out like gangbusters from a division standpoint. No, that's actually in 2023 they lost to Indy here. That was the Anthony Richardson 2 touchdown game. So they lose that in week 2 here in NRG. But point being, the Texans were playing from ahead most of the last 2 years. We'll find out if they can fight, scratch, and claw and come from behind. If there is a holdup that prevents them from doing that, it's going to be this offense. I am not a believer in what Nick Cayley's doing. I agree. I disagree philosophically with how they arrived where they are. But for the last 2 weeks, it has been enough. But am I buying that it will ultimately culminate with them being division champs again? I just think Indy's out the gate, and I just don't believe in Cayley right now.
And real quick glance before we get your answer, John. The Colts' remaining schedule is Cardinals, at the Chargers, Titans, at Steelers, Falcons, at Chiefs, Texans, at Jags, at Seahawks, 49ers, Jags, at Texans. They got a lot of winnable games in there, at least the way it looks like on paper.
And maybe Daniel Jones, John, maybe Daniel Jones turns back into a pumpkin. I kept telling people last year when Sam Darnold was on that run in Minnesota, I said eventually he's going to Sam Darnold. And it didn't happen until they got to the postseason. But eventually he went back to being Sam Darnold and turned
playing
the
good ball
over.
this year.
Yeah, Sam is playing nice, some good football.
So we'll see. My point is if Daniel Jones goes back to being what he was in New York before they jettison him out of there.
So the question is, do I believe Houston can come back and win the division?
Yep.
Good question. Both teams ahead of Houston right now, I think, did a very good job in the offseason of addressing things and kind of turning some things around for their franchise. They got off to a hot start. Houston dug themselves in the hole that's going to be tough to get out of. I can't say yes or no to that right now, which kind of seems like a no if I can't say yes to it, because I think that for Houston to get back into the swing of things, when they come out of this bye week, they got to go 2 for 2 over the next 4 games. You would love to see them go 3 for 1, but 2 for 2 I think is a great scenario. And also, like Stan pointed out, they can't afford to lose any more division games. They've had 2 great games, well, a great 5-quarter run right now, but those 5 quarters were against 2 bad teams. Houston is a bad team too, but 2 bad teams, and Baltimore is a bad team. What is going to come down? So they may lose the division, but I think a conversation that we may have to look towards at some point is, what is Houston's path to the playoffs? With the extended, now you can be the 7th team to make the playoffs. Like, that's a conversation that I think we need to have, because I'm not going to rule them out of the playoffs, but for them to win the division, it's going to be tough. And even trying to make the playoffs, you got 2 teams right now, 3-1. Indy is 4-1.
4-1.
4-1 after today. We'll see how the Jags, like, those 2 teams got off to a hot start. It's going to be tough. I don't have an answer, so I'm going to say no, because I don't have an answer.
When you look around the league in terms of how the Texans could position, even if they don't win the AFC South for the 3rd consecutive year, I think you also have to look at, okay, the wild card spots, what other divisions and how are they pacing? At least 2 teams are going to make the postseason out of the AFC West, and it could be 3. I'm saying
right
the
now
Chargers,
right now it'd be 3 out of the West, I think.
So you got 3 out of the West, and then I think the AFC East is going to have 2 teams in New England, and Buffalo is going to win that division. We'll see if the AFC North, can Joe Burrow come back healthy? Can Lamar get healthy and get their teams back going? We know that Cleveland is a wash right now. And so you got Pittsburgh. What happens at the top of that AFC North? So I think the Texans, unfortunately, and this is my concern, and I'm not trying to be who's that in the comments. Somebody was talking about, Jaron Farrell called me a negative Nancy. The bottom line is when you start 0-3, like you're going to think about those games on the back end of the schedule. MC, every show you and I have to have an Astros moment.
Mhm.
It has hurt the Astros in the past. Where like
it hurt them this year. Yeah, you go back and look at like they played teams like the Colorado Rockies and got beat
and
around.
You drop those games early, and
they finished tied at the end of the season. They missed the playoffs.
It's like, dang, if we could have those games back on the back end. So, John, that's where I come to. It's not as much about just the Texans. I think the defense is good enough. Any given game, the defense is going to get his team a chance. I do not trust the offense, and it was the offense that put them in a 0-3 hole.
Yeah. And it feels like both sides can execute and start to stack games, but it's going to take for Indy to start losing. It's going to take for Jacksonville to start losing. If we look at their immediate competition in their division, but across the league, like y'all mentioned, the AFC West, one of the tougher divisions in the NFL. Some of those teams are going to have to lose for Houston to have a shot to make the playoffs altogether. And do we trust that while they're getting better, will those other teams start to gradually get worse? That's why I'm going to have to say no at this time.
I think when I look at it, I feel comfortable saying that they'll find their way back to a wild card. I mean, Stan, you brought up the Patriots. I'm not going to – I got to see that one to believe it. I'm not going to think that the Bengals are going to be able to hold on with Browning. Like,
I'm sorry, guys.
Burrow's out for like 3 months or whatever. I don't think that's going to happen. It comes down to that West. It comes down to like, can you hope and pray maybe can one of those teams in the West, screw something up or have a quarterback injury? Honestly, I don't know.
Well, Houston does play LA, the Chargers,
last game of the year. So
that
their place.
Excuse me, that could be major playoff implications there.
Good.
They play.
Houston's got to worry about Houston. Meaning, when I say that, you got to worry about these division games. Houston, like D'Amico is going to tell them, hey, bye week, guys, take care of your business, relax. Yeah, you're going to get away from the game, enjoy your family, you're making good money, enjoy some of that money. But, make sure you stay locked in to some degree. You're going to have to pick and choose your spots because it's easy. For those of you, I'm an ACC guy, by the way, Virginia, number 20 in the country. Clemson, this has happened to Clemson before. Clemson will have success under Dabo Swinney. And then they get to looking ahead because they've had some success. And then they wound up being 1-4, 1-5, or whatever they are right now. The Texans have to understand, you're on a 2-game win streak, but you aren't good yet. The defense is good. Kyrie Fairbairn today with another 50-plus yard field goal, which has become a standard operating procedure for him. But, they can't allow the thought, okay, we're going to be back. It just automatically happens like it has the last 2 years from a division standpoint. They got to go lock in and take care of their business and clean up some of the things that have been problems for them. Let's get some guys back healthy, and we'll see what happens. But they have a chance. I'm not counting them out of the postseason yet, no.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a long road to go. But you know what, Stan? There's nothing wrong with looking ahead. You mentioned Clemson and looking ahead. Don't be scared like them. Be like me right now. I'm sitting over here looking at my number 9 Red Raiders and going, man, oh, man, college football playoff. Here we come. Here we come, baby.
Good for you. Beat up on U of H on Saturday.
Here we come.
I'm happy that y'all are able to enjoy your collegiate teams having success.
It's been a long time, man.
John, who's your squad on Saturdays?
I don't want to talk about it, man, but they in Austin.
Oh, yeah. First time. Who was that? It's the first time Texas and Miami. No, I can't remember. It's Texas and somebody. It's the first time they've both been outside of the AP top 25 since like the 40s at the same time. And I forget who it's out there for somebody to go find it.
We're bad football too.
Austin does not look good.
Nope, they don't look good at all.
Yeah. But the Texans do.
Texans look good. Let's talk about the guy that Stan doesn't want to believe in still. I want to talk about Nick Caley to wrap up the show. Let's do it next. Here on the Locked On Texans Squad show. Football's here. Yeah, you do, because you've been watching it. You watched it with us today. It's still going on right now. NFL season full on go, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes watching every football game way more exciting. You got a little bit of something on it. Well, riding on that action, it is always exciting every single time. Whether you're just a casual fan or love diving into stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started with FanDuel. Texans Squad show rolling on. Michael Connor, Stan Norfleet, John Hickman with you for a few more minutes. We're breaking down the Texans' victory 44-10 over the Baltimore Ravens, improving to 2-3 now on the season. Feels good to be closer to the 500 mark. They're not there yet. They will go on the bye week. They'll come out of that bye week and play the Seattle Seahawks. That, by the way, for again mentioning it, just want to get you guys in the right frame of mind. This coming up week, Tuesday, Friday for the show. The following week, it'll be a Tuesday, Monday, because we will have Monday Night Football, and it's a late one too. It's a 9 o'clock start. Yeah, 9 o'clock start out of the bye Monday night in that one. So
think about the East Coast. The second Monday night game kicking off at 10 p.m.
Yeah, they're not watching that. I think the doubleheaders on Monday night's stupid. It would be, you know what it'd be fine with if it was at like 4 and 7. But then what's the point of having a game at 4 o'clock on a Monday, right?
NFL fans are sick people, man. They'll find a way to get to that game. And I'm one of those people.
Look, I'm a sick person. I've got Tampa and Seattle up on my screen next to me right here.
We're sick in the head. Speaking of being sick in the head, Jalen Noel having the nuts to score on his first career touchdown and hit the Ray Lewis dance.
Man. You saw Jair Alexander was having none of it. Jair ran over there, Charlotte native. He ran over there and defended the mystique of Ray Lewis and what that aura means to play like a Raven. But happy for Jalen Noel getting his first career.
Better not hope you see the Ravens again this year, because you know that'll be brought back up for sure.
Big facts.
Jalen Noel over there freaking robbing Davis Mills of some free yards out there in his playing time today. Come on, man. Catch the ball. Him and Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb had a drop too.
Davis Mills.
Yeah, Nick Chubb had a drop in the first quarter. That was pitch and catch. Yeah,
JJ Watt was kind on the broadcast, and he's like, "Yeah, those are the hardest ones when they hit you in the hands."
Yeah,
that's true. Hey, real quick before we get to Nick Caley, what do you guys? That's the first time I've gotten to listen to a whole JJ Watt game. I've only heard a bits and pieces. What do you guys think of him in the booth?
I thought JJ was nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Maybe it's a Texans bias a little bit, but I'd rather listen to him than Romo.
I thought JJ
MC.
I can't do Romo. I just can't do it.
You're gonna go for it here. That's Romo. That was my Romo.
So the connectivity with Romo and Nance, they just have a thing. You can tell like they're boys for real. I thought JJ was okay. I thought he was solid. I was not overwhelmed or impressed. I didn't think he did a bad job. I think it would have been easy for him, and he's been taught to be cautious about being too pro-Texan. So I thought there were moments that he used some of his experience in terms of being a Texan and organizationally and the history. I thought he used that. It was timely. It was perfect. He did a good job with that. But I didn't think the analysis, and then again, it's also hard. What's the analysis of somebody getting the bleep kicked out of them?
Yeah.
It's a bleep kicking. There's not a whole bunch we saw what was going on. They didn't have Lamar, and CJ was in a zone. Caley was in his bag, and a whole bunch of young dudes and support pieces stepped up. What does Shaq call them? The others. The others stepped up today, and they got it done.
Well, you bring it up. You bring up the name, Nick Caley. So you mentioned it earlier that you're still not feeling it with Nick Caley yet. Why, Stan? Why can't you just get on the train here a little bit? I will say, we did it. The first 3 weeks of this season, some of the play calling was rough. Last week felt a little bit better. I really liked the game plan today. I thought that they did a really good job of going out there and, they knew what the weaknesses. It looked like they knew obviously what the weaknesses were of their opponent, and they attacked them and they didn't let up. So I liked his game plan today. He made me feel a little bit better about him.
You know, for me, I looked at an offense that, again, it goes back to the job that the offensive line did the last 2 weeks. Last 2 weeks, the Houston Texans rushed for over 100 yards, kind of put pressure on the opposing defense. And because of that, again, Houston stayed in front of the sticks, not a lot of long down situations to convert. But because of that, we see the Houston Texans playbook open up, like I mentioned, but they were excellent play actions today. The team, the opposing defense had to buy into that. That's something I want to highlight throughout the week on the Locked On Texans podcast. But I think that's where we're seeing the growth from this offense, like you mentioned, in understanding where the weakness of the opposing team's defense is, in the opposing team defense, and having a game plan to attack that, so that could be the catalyst to opening up the rest of their playbook. And I thought that whenever they got into those play action situations, C.J. Stroud was excellent, making sure the ball got out on time. If there was a big play to be had, get the ball out. If we're in the end zone, red zone area, get the ball where it needs to be so we can walk in and score. That, to me, is where when you look at the – I don't even want to say ups, but the downs of Nick Caley and the progression of this offense, it's kind of been whenever the Houston Texans have ran the ball, whether it's attempts or yards per carry, consistently throughout all 4 quarters – they've been able to position themselves to score points, especially in the last 5 quarters.
All right, Stan.
I think the offensive line play has improved, but does that coincide with the level of competition has decreased?
I agree.
So it's a balance for me.
And also, can I point something out really quick? The level of offensive line play was good against Jacksonville. 2 interceptions and a fumble hurt Houston. They didn't execute all around to score points. And so I do want to add that while we look at the last 2 games for Houston, if we go back 3 games, the offensive line performance I thought was better than the first couple of games.
Against Jacksonville?
Yeah.
Hell no. Josh Allen destroyed Ariante Ursery. We're not going to do that here.
I thought the offensive line play for 4 quarters were better. That's my opinion.
Respectfully, disagree. But on that particular game, the last 2 games, yes. Outside of Jeffrey Simmons, but okay, get it. He's going to do that to almost everybody. Okay. I think formations make more sense. It looks like the spacing has been better. The Christian Kirk, the deep over, I thought was excellent. I love CJ in tune today. The back shoulder fade on the second Hutch touchdown. Was that the back shoulder to Hutch? I thought was right on the money. I saw 29 rush attempts today by backs and receivers. So take the quarterback run out. I like that, or the quarterback runs, because Davis Mills had a 3-yard run of his own. So I think you're getting the volume in the run game that makes sense. I think CJ getting more of a grasp and having the confidence to make certain checks now, having some experience, making some audibles and making some protection checks at the line of scrimmage. When this offensive line gives this team a chance, they do have a chance. You're seeing young guys get more confidence. Higgins, Noel, Hutch gets some touches. Woody Marks last week, not so much this week. Nick Chubb. How about that Nick Chubb 27-yard touchdown?
Yeah.
I want to see what were the miles per hour. That might have been the fastest I've seen Nick Chubb run since the knee injury. Like, Barty was rolling on that. I didn't know that he still had that left in the tank. So to me, ask me about Nick Caley again when we start seeing Seattle and Mike McDonald, a defensive coordinator that is also a head coach in Seattle on Monday night. Ask me once we see them go up against the Denver Broncos, who was the number one defense in the league last year. Like, let's start seeing them versus San Fran, Robert Saleh. You saw what they had going on the other night, Thursday night. So, like, let's revisit this here in a couple weeks.
I mean, I'll give you that. That's fine. We can revisit it. But
is that fair? Am I gonna get called a hater?
No, I think it's complete. No, I think it's completely
That's fair.
I'm just going to go ahead and warn you.
Football.
I think you're
played
absolutely
2 bad teams, and the bad teams that they played, the players that's out on the field, you kind of look at those teams and say, even though Houston is 0-3 and their offense has been inept, they should be able to win those games because of talent alone. And I think because of those bad teams, you've seen Nick Haley get a little bit more comfortable with his play calling and what he wanted to do in CJ Stroud. So I don't think it's fair to say we need to wait a little bit longer.
You don't think it's
Haley's the guy at the
unfair?
bar.
I'm sorry. I don't think it's unfair to say that because the fact is the last two teams, especially Tennessee, the Texans have a way more talented roster, and they should be able to go out there and do some of the things that they've done.
I'm telling you, Nick Haley's the guy at the bar. He started it. He's drinks in now. He's feeling it. He started to get there, guys.
The both of you said something that I can't get out of the back of my head. Both of you said you would have picked the Texans today, even if they had Lamar.
Yes.
So by that measure, so let's say that the next month, right? The remaining the next 4 games, right? So you guys are telling me you're picking the Texans essentially in every matchup: Seattle, San Fran, Denver,
Different
Jacksonville.
team. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
they're
look
not
at
going to
that.
lose again. What are you talking about?
Okay, that's MC.
No, my complete objective thing here, honestly. I think coming out of the break, John, you mentioned this earlier, the 4 games out of the break, and you're hoping to go 2-2. I think if you are the team that you think you are, you're going 3-1 in those games because you're playing 3 of them at home.
Good point.
That's where I'm at.
No, so the thing with me saying, even if it was Lamar Jackson, the Ravens defense gives up 33 points a game. They have to score 32 points a game. The Houston Texans are the number 1 scoring defense in the NFL.
Yeah, but the Texans can't score.
Right.
So you're choosing
I look
Nick
at
Haley and Stroud.
I was looking at Nick Haley and Stroud against a god-awful defense.
Okay, and that's Lamar Jackson.
And I'm looking at Lamar
like
Jackson
strength on
versus
strength. So Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry versus the number 1 defense in the league versus the Texans are an awful offense
versus the worst one of the
versus the worst defense.
And
you
was comfortable saying
on the road in Baltimore,
yes.
you would have picked the Texans.
Well, I called them a great value version of themselves.
He did. I think it's also forgetting the circumstance of it a little bit, right? Because if Lamar had played this week, you're also talking about a quarterback that's playing with a bum hammy, and then still the rest of the team's beat up. I didn't think it was that crazy. I would have absolutely picked the Texans if Lamar was playing this week.
That defense is so bad. What we saw from CJ Stroud, we Lamar playing can't stop the passes on them in breaking routes where Nico Collins killed it all day. The DBs that were out there, like Lamar Jackson changes the offensive input, but it doesn't change Houston being able to go out there and drop 44 points on their weak defense.
No, stop that. Stop that now. Stop that.
And I'm gonna also say this: Houston had 1 sack today from Mario Edwards. Away. If Lamar Jackson is out there, Houston may have more sacks because of he does a lot of buying time back there, and this year is different from 2024. It's blown back a little bit in his face, and with you got those edge defenders like Will Anderson, you may look at a lot of more sacks.
Go look at Lamar Jackson's winning percentage in Baltimore when he's under center. Yeah. It's in the 70. It's in the upper 70th percentile. They are a different team when Lamar Jackson is under center.
Who's the greatest comedian of all time?
Comedian?
Yeah.
Debatable. I think you'll get 15 different answers.
Okay.
Probably Gallagher.
Who for a lot of people, the who's gonna always come up? Still a movie, still a stand-ups. Who's the red leather jacket? Who's the one?
I mean, Eddie's gonna be in the conversation.
Eddie Murphy once said, "What have you done for me lately?" And in 2025, Derrick Henry, the last 4 games, he stunk it up.
Turning the ball over.
Fumble issues. The offensive line, Lamar Jackson has been sacked 16 times without playing Houston. Of course, he didn't play Houston, but that's been an issue for the Baltimore Ravens. Their defense, 33 points allowed per game. Those things and those elements play into the favor of the Houston Texans. And that's why I was comfortable winning that game even with Lamar.
My dude, Lamar Jackson in 2025 still completing 71.6,
Amazing.
10 touchdowns, one
Amazing.
interception.
And
Amazing.
he had just as many wins as the Texans.
What? So we're talking about what he did. The Texans are not as good as the Buffaloes and the Phillies that Lamar and those Ravens have had to play, and we both know that.
But
We
what's
also know
the
that.
trend? What's the trend in those games? The
What
defense
do you mean?
gave up the defense in those points.
3
They give up
points.
points every single week.
Hear
And they
me.
just did it again.
When Lamar is running with the football and Derrick Henry is going, you have to win a shootout versus them. I'm saying with a Nick Cayley offense, I'm not trusting them versus what's going on with Lamar, Derrick Henry, and those weapons, Zay Flowers and Andrews. Like, I would not have picked the Texans on the road in a shootout. I'm not going to pick the Texans on the road in a shootout versus any team in the National Football League until Nick Cayley shows me that I can trust him. Right now, I don't. And I don't understand how y'all would have. But it's hyperbole because they went on the road and took care of Cooper Rush and whoever else played in purple today. So it's fine. They went in there. They got a win. I was surprised that they went in there, and certainly surprised that the win was that convincing. The good news, they have a catalyst to move forward. Take care of your bumps and bruises in the offseason, unplug for a little bit, but don't get cocky because you done played 5 weeks or 5 quarters, excuse me, of really good offensive football. D'Amico won't tell the public this, but what D'Amico's going to tell that team is the defense. When D'Amico walks in that offensive meeting room, he's going to tell that offense, y'all have done some good shit. I almost said something else. Y'all done some good stuff, but you're not good. My defense is good. They played like that versus Matthew Stafford, versus Baker Mayfield, and versus some duds. Y'all haven't done a bleeping thing versus anybody that's good. So I'm not going to act like they're good offensively yet. But I do see a start. There's something there.
Leave the cocky to me. I got you. I'll take it all day long.
MC's going to go in the offensive meeting room at NRG.
Tuesday show, I might show up with all red on and one of those big chains and some bullhorns. You never know.
Oh, my God.
You never know.
Like you just got out the bullpen and walked right in there?
Yeah, a big old cup of red Kool-Aid. All right, let's get our parting shots in for the people out there as the Texans on this victory. John, you want to start us off?
Yeah, the Bills allowed 22 points per game. Baltimore Ravens, they put up 40 on them. That's a shootout. That's a team that was in a shootout. But I'm just looking at the defenses that the Baltimore Ravens have had to go up against, and they put up some points in each and every one of those games. None like the Houston Texans, though. I just want to point that out. My parting shot is, I think, for the Houston Texans, there a real conversation that needs to be had internally, and I hope that we have a chance to talk about this as we're on this bye week, so we'll find time. Okay, we put together some good wins, right? 2 back-to-back. We're feeling ourselves. We see that things can work if we execute. That's what D'Amico Ryans has been echoing. However, is there a pathway to bring in a player to help us get better?
I was thinking about that today.
I don't think the Houston Texans should rule out trading for a player.
A difference maker.
A difference maker.
On what side of the ball? At what position?
I'm going to give you 2 positions. Safety is one of them. Now, they do get Jalen Reed back. They get Jalen Reed back. I'll give you 3 because corner, something's up with Derek Stingley. I think this bye week is going to be good for him so he can give his body some rest.
He looks a little beat up.
He looks beat up. But I'm going to always say, before any of that, offensively, is there a playmaker out there that can really add some additional juice to this offense? And if there is, for Houston, don't be scared to pull the trigger on it. But that playmaker needs to be able to come in and can play in any offense, being impactful in any offense. So that's my parting shot. 2-3, you're going to the bye week with a huge win. Give your guys some rest. But at the back of your mind, middle of your mind, and in the front, can we get better? And if so, where?
We'll talk about that this week for sure. Stan, you?
parting shot for me, I thought that the emotional win on the road at M&T Bank Stadium there in the harbor of Baltimore was as important as the physical play on the field. The fact that they now know, the first win on the road in that building or in that city in franchise history, and it's like, okay, it can be done. The circumstances and who played and who didn't play are what they are. So with that being said, from a personnel standpoint, EJ Speed led this team in tackles today. EJ Speed came in first with 6 tackles. Henry T had 5. Petrie was third. Lassiter fourth. Aziz came in fifth. When Aziz hyperextended that knee, it just made me, and this is the scout in me, because this was my job when I worked in Washington. I used to have to give Dan Snyder a laminated card that had basically the top 3 players that were free agents or like players that were on the fringe of being traded or might be available. He wanted to know if such and such went down, if Clint Portis went down, who's next up at running back that we can go get. I used to have to provide him for that every week. So immediately when Aziz hyperextended that knee and Aziz came back and played some more snaps and looked like he was fine, how valuable is EJ Speed going to be down the stretch here? Today, Christian Harris was a healthy scratch. Are they going to talk about the deadline? Do they deal Christian Harris? Does the Aziz almost injury, Aziz plays a physical brand of ball. Does he get another suspension? Some questionable play later in the year. This linebacker room has my attention. They played well today, no question. But it just, if something were to happen to Aziz, what's the backup plan here? Just something I got my eyes on.
It's a great question. I think we can get deeper into it this week, obviously, because we got a couple of shows to do that on.
Really
for
quick,
me, go ahead.
Go ahead. Baltimore averages defense, they allowed 33 points per game against the Bills, 41, Lions, 38, Chiefs, 37, Browns, and the Browns have their own set of issues, 17 against Houston, 44. That defense is terrible.
Buns, as the kids would say. Buns.
Cook.
The Texans were not buns today. They were fantastic. It was great. I enjoyed every second of it. It's always nice to have those. I will show up possibly this week with this large thing that I drink out of, seriously, with some very red Kool-Aid, and we'll have a great time. I just hope you guys enjoyed today as much as I did.
Red is a flavor, right, to y'all?
Red, yeah. Red's the flavor. Okay. That was the only flavor I drank growing up. It was just red. But we'll talk more about it this week. Join us Tuesday and Friday for the Locked On Texans Squad Show. Thanks for stopping by. If you watched us live, make sure you listen to the podcast anywhere that you get your podcast. Listen to John all week long as well. We'll talk to you on Tuesday for the Squad Show.